My name is Marko Pogačnik. I would like to tell you about my experiences with the elemental intelligence of nature. Since this is a time when the artificial intelligence is building up with great speed and seems that it will take over all the realms that the earth and nature and its beings are taking care for. So I think in this moment it's important to say that the earth and nature embody an intelligence that is equally and 1,000 times stronger, and it is a loving intelligence, it is a living, loving intelligence, different than the artificial one. I speak about my experience that I had 30 years ago. I am working in a field that is taught not so perfectly as earth healing field. It is in effect a field of work that I'm working in 40 years when we deal with groups, with the difficulties and traumas that our civilization causes on the earth, the nature, and also not just natural landscape, but also cityscapes. I have developed certain methods of, it is a kind of artwork, methods similar to alternative methods of healing, like acupuncture or homeopathy. I work always with groups, with tools of art like sound or movement, color, and what I call cosmograms, certain symbols. And doing this work after 10 years, I realized that it is not just about energy and energy relationship in the landscape, but that I am dealing with intelligences, with beings, with a certain aspect of consciousness, and that all what we see outwardly as trees, as rivers, as mountains, as plants, animals, human beings, has also another level. That is the level of consciousness, of intelligence. We think this is only to do with human beings when we speak about consciousness. But no, I would say that there are two dimensions to the world around us. One is that can be perceived with our eyes and our senses, which can be also logically explained. But then there is another side to it, which is beyond visible. It is like human thoughts, you cannot see them. So also you cannot see the beings and movements of this, what I call elemental consciousness or intelligence of nature. What happened to me is that I was in 1993, I was invited in a way I cannot explain. I was invited to experience all different levels and extensions of the natural intelligence. Usually, traditionally, we speak of elemental beings. Traditionally, these are dwarfs related to the element earth, then there are sylphs related to the element air, and there are undines or related to the water element, and then there are beings without a name related to the fire element. So the four element structure is a basic structure of beings and forces working behind the back of the visible world. But then coming in, getting to know these worlds, those months when I was in intimate relationship, it turned out that there are other beings also, like higher level of consciousness, those beings who are able to hold the wholeness of this world. And we know them as devas, or the ancient mythology speaks of Pan and other beings that have a vast consciousness of embracing whole landscapes and beings working with life. To understand the reality of the elemental world, it needs to imagine that the reality that we see around us as landscapes, as trees and stones and so on, is only one aspect of reality. It is an aspect related to the elemental earth. It is all embodied reality, inclusive the human body, a body of animals and so on. But that there are other dimensions of reality. I speak of the pluridimensional reality. For example, element air, consciousness. You would say stones are material beings. No, for me, no, yes, of course, of course. But my experience is that stones are primarily a consciousness of the earth. If I let me propose an exercise. You stand in front of a stone and you go with your imagination to the back of the stone. There you can enter, and when you enter, you will see that a stone in effect is like a cloud of consciousness. Stones belong to the element air, to consciousness, and they together forming the sphere of stone, they in effect make possible the earth to be experienced as a noosphere, as a sphere of consciousness. And so also other aspects, the water element makes possible that, because water is known that it has a tremendous capacity to store information. In this case, this is not just information, but beings that have body in water, not in physical water, but in the element water, which is subtle water. We are nearly 80% of water, and within this water, other beings are present that I call, for example, the personal elemental being. So that consciousness of the natural intelligence that within our body takes care that the whole complicated processes of digestion, of thought, and of movement can run without problems. And so within the landscape, water is everywhere present, and partly the elemental beings are embodied in this water, reaching everywhere where life is and making it possible. What I would like to say is that it is not possible, life on the material plane would not be possible if there would not be the causal, we call this causal levels, if there would not be causal levels that are alive with different kind of consciousness that I call elemental consciousness, which then takes care that the final expression of life finds form on the physical level. It is the final expression of life. Our civilization not being interested in the causes, in the sources from where life comes, is making possible that the artificial intelligence starts to govern all areas of life. Probably soon it will be making our food and our health and so on, our transport, everything. But we will find ourselves in a cold world, which is in effect a crystallinic world. It is before life was on the earth, before life developed on the earth. There were patterns existed, like geometrical, mathematical patterns. According to them, then it was possible to develop life. And I think that the artificial intelligence is taking its source from that very past age and bringing it into now. But it is a deadly level if it is not connected, to those levels that the Earth's Gaia has developed in the following billions of years, which is not just embodied life, but mainly it is the natural intelligence that makes the embodied levels of life possible. So we are like using artificial intelligence, we go in the very past to the possible beginnings of life, but these beginnings of life are poisonous if they come into now, because now is a place of life, is place of love, of interrelationship between different dimensions and beings. And these relationships on different levels and in different dimensions have the possibility to be cosmic intelligence, a true cosmic intelligence of the future, connecting all different beings, manifested, embodied in matter, and those not embodied in matter but in other subtle elements. This is the future, and not the going back into the times where life does not exist.